Hi, everyone, and welcome again to another episode of Faith and Purpose Podcast. I have a very, very special guest today. She's a national speaker, an entrepreneur, a best-selling author, the founder of the Wholeness School, which is an umbrella of the women's school, the men's school, and many other schools she'll tell you about, where she provides skill set training to women to help them build their self-worth and to men as well. She has coached women for over 20 years on mastering the skill they need to expand their dreams and cultivate a life of meaning. She gets women on a deeper level, essentially, and she has helped wonderful women all across the globe. Welcome to the podcast, January
Oh,
Donovan.
thank you so much for I'm so grateful to be here. It's an honor. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Thank you for accepting the invite. So we'll just get started. Tell us a little bit about yourself, your business, and one fun fact about you that the listeners or people watching may not know about.
Tell me about myself. So I am a mom of eight. My faith
Wow.
is the fuel in which drives me actually to build this business. I started out just passionate about training women because I was the untrained woman who suffered for it.
Mm.
And I met a mentor my earlier years in college who said, my freshman year, she said, January, let's design you. And I remember
Wow.
laughing and I'm like, oh, I I have no idea what you mean by that. And so for the next 3.5 years, she helped me develop the mindset and skill set to design the January Donovan. That really truly what I felt like our Lord was constantly calling me to. And so I've really used so much of that gift and really went on to study women's self-worth, how to grow ourselves to become who we're created to be using mindset and skill set training. And so I've trained women for more than 20 years. We're in 40
Oh,
countries
wow.
now. I did it for free for 15 years
Oh,
because I was
wow.
passionate about it.
Passionate. Yeah.
And my husband asked me one day, and he's in business, said, Jane, you're going to reach thousands of women or millions. And of course,
Mm.
I was so passionate about what I did because of
Yeah.
what I received that I said, of course, millions. And he said, then you have to build a business around it. So three and a
Mm.
half, I guess almost 4 years ago, we built a business around the women's school, which now trains women to actually build business on training other women to a life of wholeness. So
Amazing.
we're in 40 countries. Uh,
Wow.
we, I always say I'm a teacher. I started out as
Yeah.
a teacher and I didn't realize I would have to be building a business, but it's an honor to do the work that I'm doing. So
It's a blessing that you're reaching all these women, impacting their lives. And there's just a follow-up question. You seem like you're a woman on a mission, right? Tell us a bit more about your mission, how the journey started, and why women empowerment.
yeah, I find that my mission was born out of my own wound. I feel like our
Mm,
wounds become the compass towards our contribution. And I suffered a lot
absolutely.
of pain, didn't know myself. I didn't like myself. I think I was probably the right word was that I was disgusted with who I was. And
Mm,
I feel like I wasn't alone in my journey. And so women today are suffering anxiety, stress, overwhelm, bad relationships, low self-worth because nobody is actually training them. It's
mm,
like imagine if an Olympian went to the Olympics without training, without, coaches, without somebody actually walking them through their purpose. And
yes.
so today women are unskilled.
Mm,
Don't we make 35,000 decisions a day?
yes.
How to make the most important decisions of our lifetime without decision making skill, without guidance, without boundary skill, without mind management and emotional command. I mean, hundreds of skills
Yeah,
that I truly believe would transform the way we transform other people's lives if somebody just showed us how. So, really, the vision of the
absolutely.
women's school, the man's school, and the whole school is to give mindset and skill set training. And the way I see training is that you can read a book on boundaries and never know how to actually
Mm,
communicate boundaries. You can know about routine and never
yeah,
know how to execute routine because just like you go to the gym, you condition yourself.
absolutely.
It's like you have to do the workout and you can do 3 pull-ups. And
Yeah.
so training is about conditioning your mind, body, and spirit so that you can become who you are created to be. So our mission is to rebuild culture one whole person at a time.
Wow. That is
And
so inspiring.
it's I think it's necessary. I think it's needed. I think that, the crisis today, I find, is that people are unfulfilled. There are
Mm,
parts of their life that they don't like, they
yeah,
hate, broken. And the problem is that it bleeds into the other parts of their life.
Absolutely.
And so we we're not happy,
Yeah.
peaceful, we're not becoming who God created us to be.
And
And
centered, you talked about mind, soul, spirit. I feel like sometimes we focus on one and not the other, and all three are
absolutely.
important. It's important to have the spiritual wholeness, but also your health and wellness and your body and going to the gym. And so finding that blend between the three of them, very, very, very important.
Yeah, I think the
Wow.
word we call it is integration. And if you
Mm,
feel is that
yeah.
every part of us actually equally matters, because our mental health impacts our emotional health, our physical,
Hmm.
spiritual health. And if not yet, it will. And our
Yeah.
health impacts our intimacy, how we show up to them. It
Absolutely.
impacts our friendship. It impacts the way we contribute to the world, impacts our family life. So the idea is that we are to be stewards of our life of wholeness and
Hmm.
take responsibility, because otherwise, I think, if you're not paying attention to your
Yeah.
mental health, your emotional health, eventually you're gonna hate your job. You're gonna
Exactly.
not grow in your faith, then you're
Yeah.
gonna rob yourself of your intimacy. So I think we want to introduce to the world stage a new language of seeing with eyes of wholeness.
I love that. Seen with eyes of wholeness. That's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. So let's hone in on women, because again, I was really intrigued by your profile because you were focused on, I'm big on empowering women, and we know that women wear many hats. Wife, mom, businesswoman, woman. How have you been able to balance it all? I know we were chatting a little bit before we started this podcast. You talked about boundaries, so critical in this time and age. How can women who are listening balance it all? Maybe you could share some tips that has helped you
Yeah.
succeed.
Yeah, thank you for that question. I think that the secret to life, to a beautiful life, is no secret at all. It's discipline.
Mm,
And so I tell women, the life that you deeply desire, that is in harmony with the highest good, is yours for the taking.
yeah,
Not only is it yours for the taking, you were designed for it, but you have to pay the price for it. And
absolutely.
and the price for it is that a life of discipline. So what I tell myself is that in order for me to develop the skill of boundaries, I have to write my boundary skills. I have to
Mm,
know my script. I have to exercise. I have to condition myself. And so I really am so intentional. I've had to be, honestly, because I don't have a choice, but to look at every part of my life and say, okay, this is who the January Donovan that I'm learning to become. This is
yeah.
the exercise. This is what I eat. This is what my friendship should look like. This is my intimacy. This is no matter. I just finished writing a book, and
Oh,
it was so
congratulations.
thank you. And it was like I only literally had 3 weeks to write the book
Oh,
because the way the
wow.
cookie crumbled. But it was like,
Yeah,
if you have date night, you need to make sure you're so literally I have to say no 90% of the time in my life so that
yeah.
I always say I
Say
say no to the
yes.
yeah, I say
Hmm.
no to the good things so I can say to the great things in my life. So
Exactly.
I think it's a skill, because
Mm,
it's not only boundaries, it's also managing our mind. It's
yeah,
also not, being you not having knowing that our worth is unconditional, that I don't have to prove myself.
absolutely. Yeah.
So how do I do it? I think I'm a student. That's probably what it is,
I love the word discipline as well because I'm part of the, Job Maxwell team, and where he talks about is do it now, have that discipline. So just growing up from that mindset has started to help me view life differently,
Yes.
so discipline is key. Absolutely, absolutely. One
He's
more
profound. I'll
question.
be speaking with him actually in Atlanta.
Oh, that's amazing. Yeah, I saw that on your website. That is
Yeah.
so
Which
exciting.
is such an honor. I just think he has such a profound impact in some people's lives. And like,
Yes.
it's really an honor and a privilege to feel like
On the
you,
same stage with John Maxwell. That
well,
is,
you're a
yeah.
mentor. I feel
Yeah.
like God is so faithful. I
Yeah.
actually don't seek the stage. It's something that I don't necessarily
Oh,
enjoy in part of
yeah.
my life,
But
but
it
it's
finds you.
necessary.
Yeah.
Well, I think there's grace for the call. And
Mm,
whatever it is that's necessary, and we have to do. Well, we have this quote in our school. We do what we don't
yeah.
want to do at the highest level because that's what
Mm.
winners do. And it's like you have to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do it with grit and grace, and that's probably, and I won't, it really would be crazy if I didn't say that the only way this is possible is because I have prayed for my husband for years. He truly is a man of discipline, and he's a
That's good.
truly, and I think that,
Supportive husband.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I think we invest on our growth individually,
Okay.
which allows us to really be able to create a harmony in our home and in our marriage. And our marriage has gotten better after 16 years, and we build a
Oh,
business together. So
congratulations.
I am so grateful for him, for his, yes, for his own interior discipline. Because I
Absolutely.
think that's the secret to just, you can't really do it on your own.
Absolutely. It's a team effort. Yeah. Um, so let's talk about motherhood. I'm a mother of three, you're a mother of eight. What advice will you give to mothers as they start to maximize and help them maximize the season of motherhood,
Yeah,
essentially?
gosh. Okay, so I think there would be three things.
Okay.
Model being a woman of vision.
Mm,
Every mother needs to model dreaming, because the narrative that we have is that mothers have to trade their dreams for motherhood. And I just think that's a bold.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
truly believe that the purpose of a dream is for us to become who we're created to be. And that dreaming, there's a dream for every season in our life. When there's a dream for when you have a young child, there's a dream for when your children grow old. It's unique to that season. So I don't
Absolutely.
want, I believe mothers need to learn how to dream. And there's this distinction between goal setting and dreaming, which is what we teach in school.
Yeah.
Most women are taught how to goal set, if they are even taught, not
How to
women don't know how
dream.
to dream. Dreaming requires us to not know. It requires inspiration. It requires us to, to have something that we're excited and scared at the same time. And
Mm,
it's a vision of something that we aspire to. So number one is that mothers need to know how to dream.
wow.
Number two, mothers need to learn the skill of designing a life of wholeness. It's a
Mm,
skill to be able to look at every part of your life with it's like you're your own business owner. You're like, what does my health look like? What am I eating? What am I not eating? What am I exercising? What's my friendship look like? We need to model for our children what it's like to give from a cup that is full.
I
But
love that.
the only way we do that is the third leg of the stool, which is we need to personally develop ourselves, which means that every day we literally study. How do you do
Mm,
it, January? I study every day. I study. I literally make an effort to study. I write scripts. I train myself. I expand, because you never arrive.
yeah.
You
You're
know, and
always
people are like,
learning.
yeah, you're always evolving to your highest levels. So those are the three things I tell mother: have a vision, because a woman without a vision perishes. That's the dream.
Yeah. Hmm.
Develop a life of wholeness, which is that allows you to have your cup full.
Yeah.
We develop yourself, and those things really, person developing ourselves requires so much humility. It's not fun.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And to develop a life of wholeness, actually, it comes from the scripture, be perfect as your heavenly Father is perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect comes from the word teleos, which is to be complete, to be whole.
Okay. Hmm.
So we have to be stewards of every part of our life. So
Absolutely.
that's what I tell mother, is be a woman of discipline and model for your children the life they need
Yeah.
to live for themselves.
I love when you say give from a cup that is full. Because for the longest time, I think in my 20s, I wondered why I would always burn out because I was giving, but I wasn't refilling. I wasn't invested in myself. And so now in my 30s, I'm changing that mindset that my cup will overflow. That's from where I give to others, from a life that is centered, that is whole. And I didn't know about that I think is a Greek word you talked about. So I just learned something new. Telio.
Yeah, the
Um,
teleos. But it's
Telios.
interesting
Yeah.
is that we talk so much about our culture about giving, giving, giving,
Yeah.
but we don't actually talk about the virtue of receptivity.
Mm,
And to receive is the only way we're ever going to sustainably give. And what does it mean to
absolutely.
receive?
Yeah.
It means that we're nourishing ourselves with the things that help us grow. It means that we're designing our life. It means that we're very intentional about the things that actually give us rest and peace and joy.
Absolutely.
And so we can't keep talking about giving without talking about receiving. And I
Yes.
think that's what we need as mothers, is that how do we receive so
Mm,
that we can give without being burnt out?
yes. That's beautiful. So that leads me to my next question about
Mhm.
self-care, right? So as mothers, again, we tend to prioritize everybody else but ourselves. As women, you're like, I gotta cook, I have to do this, I have to do that for the home. In a very fast-paced world, how can women carve out time for self-care? And what regiment or routines do you recommend for self-care?
Yeah. So the way we teach self-care, it's that it has to be in layers. I think the self-care that's
Mm,
being promoted right now is the physical self-care, which
yeah,
means get your nails done, go shopping. That's,
exactly.
I think that's a part. but that's the first layer. The
Mm,
second layer of self-care is your mental and emotional self-care. What do you mean by
yes,
that? It means that you have to journal, you have to process, you have to think, because ultimately you can't really just fix the symptoms of getting your nails done when your heart is broken. You have to
absolutely.
get into the next level of self-care that I don't think we talk about. That's an interior care of our soul.
Mm,
Third layer of self-care, your spiritual self-care, where who am I? What's my purpose? What am I doing? Why am I here? And it brings you back to your purpose. And I think
yeah,
when we talk about self-care, we have to talk about the integrated human person. Because I think that's part of the issue, is that even the way we talk about work-life balance, we talk about sort of like a balance, not an
yeah,
integration.
yeah,
It's integrated. We're not sort of this discompartmentalized human
yeah,
being. And
absolutely.
so that's what I think of self-care. So for me personally, there's things that I enjoy physically. I really love to be able to go out with my husband. I feel like that's
Yeah,
just a reprieve,
go out
or,
to dinner. Yeah,
yeah, we have Friday night's dinner, or, I love a good shopping, but
yeah,
self-care means that, I take some time, whether it's monthly or every quarterly, to really have a time for quiet, a whole day of quiet, or maybe
yeah,
6 to 8 hours, and
yeah,
retreat and
yeah.
rest and process and think, and not have 8 kids go, mom, mom, which I love,
Yes,
but I think longer time for pondering, but knowing how to
yeah,
ponder. And we're not taught how to do that. So women
yes.
actually, as I've trained thousands of women across the world, and
Hmm.
there's a fear of, if I'm alone, I don't know what to do with myself. I'm afraid of actually the quietness of my thoughts. And so
Yeah,
we need to learn how to teach women to do that, and then teach them to ask questions. So I would say that, and I think the self-care of really prayer and going deep into
yeah,
purpose. That's what I would say, is to make that part of my daily habit of taking care of myself, just
yeah.
like getting out in the morning and knowing, I tell my kids, I'm like, no, mommy is putting makeup on. It's my presentation skills. And so report down, like, watch
Yeah,
your year old brother, and they
yeah,
know it. They set their expectation. And so they, we get to model for them self-care that's sort of integrated, the physical, the mental,
absolutely.
emotional, and spiritual.
Beautiful, beautiful. I love that you said being alone with your thoughts. A lot of
Mhm.
us aren't alone with our thoughts. Our minds are always racing. I think for me, it's just about a year or two that I started to have quiet time and really just shut out the noise, switch off my phone for like an hour or two, and just like journal my thoughts. And
Yeah.
it's very refreshing because at the end of the day, I feel lighter putting it down on paper. So amazing, amazing. I think you covered my question about a wholeness. One other area is energy. How can people feel energized, wholesome in a world that's always taking, taking, taking? I think you've touched upon it already, retreating, having time for prayer and meditation. Any other things or tips you can give, even as we try to close out the
Yeah.
session?
I want to say, pay attention to what you put in your body. That's
Mm,
one of the things I was telling my children the other day, because to write this book, and part of writing this book is I actually had to manage what I ate,
mm,
because what I ate impacted how I wrote.
wow.
And I know that about myself. My children know it.
Yeah.
It's a culture we have at home. And so, um, to have optimal energy means that we have to be responsible to actually what gives us energy in our thoughts, energy in our
Yeah.
body. And so
Yeah.
paying attention to the external, circumstances, the external things that we put in our body. So that's one of the things that I, invite people, and that we pay attention and we become better stewards of the
Our
temple that we have.
bodies. Absolutely.
And study, like I tell my children, study what you eat and how it makes you feel, because
Mm,
everybody's different, like
yeah.
my husband can have carbs and I can't, and I love rice. I'm Filipino, but my family's pre-diabetic, and so is a lot
Yeah.
of sort of our families. And so I can't have it without crashing. And so I
I
think
can
that
relate.
there's, yeah,
I
so
can relate.
yeah, there's a physical, energy, but I also think that a lack of a dream robs us of energy, because we're actually
Mm,
spinning our wheels. What I mean by that,
yeah.
we don't have a direction in our life. We actually get emotionally tired because we're running in the same place without knowing where we're going. So
Mm,
there's a physical
like
energy.
going around in circles.
We're running with our head cut off the same day.
Yeah.
We're not waking up every day and we're like, I know exactly what the vision is for this month. I know exactly
Yeah.
what, sort of, there's that pinnacle, the summit of our lives. And so it sounds silly, but when you're running around in circles, you actually get tired
Yes.
and dizzy. So
Yes.
having a clear vision in your life actually gives you energy. And honestly, what gives you energy is having to learn how to say no,
Yes.
because you're not wasting your energy. We make 35,000 decisions a day,
Exactly.
and that
Exactly.
actually burns out energy. So
Yeah.
um, just acquiring new skills helps us conserve energy, because what would take us 2 hours in maybe a conversation that's draining could take us
Yeah.
5 minutes, because we know how to communicate ourselves effectively. Or maybe cleaning the
Absolutely.
kitchen for 2 hours
Yeah.
could be only half an hour, because we have the skill to be able to, whatever that is, skill.
Absolutely.
So there's a conservation of skill, I mean, a conservation of energy when we expand our skill set.
That's beautiful. And I loved how you tied the element of health and fitness, right? What you eat impacts how you feel. For me, I know that I've started to cut down on carbs because I just feel drained and
I
heavy and sleepy. I'm like, why do I feel that way? And it's so different when I eat other things, right? So just being aware of our bodies, treating it like a temple, like you mentioned, so beautiful. One question before we wrap up. So as we head into the Christmas season, what are some of your favorite traditions for you and your family?
So, gosh, I love Christmas because it's a Christmas for us with 8 kids is simple. And I love that we every morning we put on instrumental Christmas music.
Oh,
We put on music, put in Christmas time, we put on instrumental Christmas music. And it's just a great way to rally. I love a sacred morning where it's peaceful, and I think we can learn how to do that. So, and then in the evening, we gather at night and we have the Christmas music with a tree, and it's just
oh,
part of tradition. And we pray together as a family every night. Um, and then we bake a cake for Jesus right before
oh,
for
that's
his
beautiful.
we hide the three kings right
Yeah,
before Christmas when they wake up the younger kids, because the older kids obviously are not.
yeah.
Three kings, and then we blow a cake for Jesus. The last thing we do are presents, so that it's not the focal
Okay.
point. We write a
Yeah.
letter to Jesus, and we actually, it's my permission not to cook on
On
Christmas,
Christmas Day, that's
so
beautiful
that I
because
can,
mommy gets to rest.
well, I want to enjoy them, I
Yeah.
want to enjoy. And so we actually have for years just ordered Chinese food because it's the only thing
Oh,
open, or I'll
on
make
Christmas Day,
lasagna on Christmas
yeah.
Day, or I'll make lasagna as a leftover for the next day
Yeah.
too. So we make one same cake every single year, and that's a cobbler.
Oh,
And so yeah, that's a tradition that we
that
have.
is so beautiful. I think at the end of the day, we sometimes forget that it's about the memories you're making with the family members and your unit versus just the gifts and cooking up a storm and then you're tired and you can't even be there and be present with the kids. So that's something, a tradition I think I will start with the music and maybe ordering food on Christmas Day
Yeah,
because I stress out with cooking all the
that's a
time.
boundary. I mean,
Yes.
it's a boundary to say no,
Yeah.
mommy's not cooking.
Yeah.
Mommy's not, it's a
We're going
boundary.
to sit around and talk and enjoy a nice movie together or
Yeah.
nice music together. Absolutely. January, how can people get in touch with you if people are interested in being a part of your school, enrolling in your program or
Yeah.
just following you on social media? How can they do that?
Thank you. You can find us at thewomanschool.com or
Okay.
the Wholeness Coaching School, where we teach women how to build a business as mentors and make money as a mentor. It's a really, a very beautiful, profound way that women can actually earn a living just doing what they really love, which is serving women and men. You can
Beautiful.
find me there, and then also our Instagram, January Donovan, or the Women's School. You can find also the Man School, the Wholeness Coaching School, Facebook, Instagram. We're now apparently in TikTok as well. And we are launching our podcast, which is Redefine Success for Women. That's the book that I'm writing, coming out in January. And so you can also find that, I think, in your local bookstore. And so, yeah, that's
Amazing. Amazing. That is so inspiring. First of all, congratulations on your new book that's coming out. Congratulations on your podcast and all the amazing things you're doing for women and men and people all across the globe. Thanks again for joining my podcast. And guys, until next time, this is Faith and Purpose Podcast. And my name is Ogechi Uchatu. Thanks for joining.
yeah.